Everyone, my name is Princess Ronke Ademilui and I'm the founder of Africa Fashion Week London and Africa Fashion Week Nigeria. And thank you for joining us today. We're marking Africa Day in celebration of Africa, African fashion, and we have some very important personalities with us today. Our discussions and some of our discussions are going to be based around creating a united front for African fashion, so unification. And I'm going to hand over to Michael to do the formal introductions of our VIP guests.
Happy Africa Day, everybody.
Happy Africa Day.
Happy Africa Day. Happy Africa Day.
Yes, so as you all know, Africa Day on the 25th of May is in honor of the amazing countries in Africa coming together to form the Africa Union. And we thought that this year is with the Corona crisis and everyone on lockdown and everyone's trying to figure out what step they're going to be making. Guess what? We couldn't stop the party from celebrating Africa. And so this is why Princess Ronke Ademilui, the founder of Africa Fashion Week London and Africa Fashion Week Nigeria, thought, why don't we invite all the Africa Fashion Weeks around the world to do a global celebration of Africa Day. So this is what brings us all together. And before I go into introducing every single person, because I think I really can try to introduce them, but only they can introduce themselves. And you'll get to know, that's right. Oh, you'll get to know about each of their platforms and what they do in their respective countries and the continuous work that they want to do in working together. So I just want to say again, huge thank you for joining us. We're so appreciative that you're taking the time out of your very relaxing day, lockdown day. But I'm sure you guys are quite busy because it is Monday and taking time out from work to be here and to for joining us. So in addition to the different Africa Fashion Weeks around the world, we have two very important platforms, actually three very important platforms joining us. We have the Federation of African Designers and Creative Industries that's in the house also. We have the African Fashion Foundation that's also here. And we also have a very special platform called Africa 7 Days that's based in Colombia that will also be here to, just join and support this incredible, we will call it a movement. Let's call it a movement because this is the first time, guys, we're having a meetup of Africa Fashion Weeks from around the world. And you'll get to find out exactly about each platform. You also get to hear from the founders and what else they do in addition to promoting Africa, celebrating the people of African heritage and educating people and bringing opportunities to them, what they do before they actually started this platform and what we, again, as I said earlier, what we'll do together. So I want to we will start again with Princess Ronke. And she's just gonna give us a little history of how Africa Fashion Week started, when it started, and then we will go into exactly what else we're going to be doing. But first, Princess Ronke, would you do us the honor and tell us about Africa Fashion Week London?
Thank you, Michael. So Africa Fashion Week London started in 2011. And the reason behind it, the reason why I started it was growing up in London in the 90s, it was so difficult to lay your hands on a ready-to-wear African outfit. So when we wanted African outfits then, we would have to wait for people coming from Africa, maybe from Ghana, from Nigeria, from different parts of Africa. Unlike today where we have so many creative designers putting ready-to-wear African designs out there. So I thought to myself back then that there must be some amazing, talented African designers based in London, based in the UK, but there wasn't a platform that brought them together. And for creativity to grow, there needs to be a platform that supports its growth. So I started my research and found that there were so many African designers in London, across the whole of the UK and even Europe as well. And I decided to start the Africa Fashion Week London platform. And to the glory of God, we're going to be 10 this year. It's our 10th anniversary. Over the years, we must have showcased over 1,000 designers from the African diaspora and from Africa as well, almost every country in Africa. We have contributed, I'd say, about 750 to 800,000 pounds to the UK economy. Our platform creates awareness, networking opportunities for designers. Our media reach it's amazing. So with what we do, we have put African fashion at the forefront. And Africa, that only used to be like an inspiration for big brands like Burberry and Louis Vuitton, now has its own thriving and growing fashion industry. So that's my little story about Africa Fashion Week, why we started.
Maravilhoso.
Wonderful.
Onyenyechi, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Okay, I am Onyenyechi Ganagwe. I run Africa Fashion Week Los Angeles. We started in 2012, and we started the platform because in Los Angeles, just like in London, there was a lack of representation of Africans in fashion in general. And so I was working in the fashion space, and I decided with a partner that, we should bring Africa to the forefront and create a space for Africans to showcase their designs and, diversify the market. So we started doing Africa Fashion Week during LA Fashion Week as a part of LA Fashion Week. And from that, we got a lot of opportunities to help our designers that showed with us, get in stores here in LA. Also, they've been featured in music videos, featured on different platforms. Our whole purpose is just to help designers grow their brands globally, more than just a fashion show. We really want to get the designers to, expand their brands. So that's what we do here in LA.
Thank you, LA. Thank you so very much. So now we're going to introduce you guys to Colombia. Now, Belki, who is the founder of Africa Fashion Week Colombia, she will speak Spanish, and she will also have her translator, Julie, who is standby also. So, Belki, please. Africa Fashion Week Colombia.
Hola.
Hola, me siento muy, muy feliz por esta invitación. Es un sueño hecho realidad.
Okay, give me a moment. Hello, everyone. So, Ms. Becky says that she is happy to be here and is grateful with the life to share with you all the experiences.
El Africa Fashion Week Colombia inició hace 2 años. Para nosotros lo más importante es promover la identidad étnica para asumir el desarrollo de la nación, emprendimiento, talento, arte, cultura y promoción turística.
Okay, so she says that the African Fashion Week Colombia started 2 years ago, and the idea is to promote the culture, the tourism, and create works and employment here in our country.
Thank you so much, Belki. And now we would like to hear from Brazil. Brazil. 1 second, Silvana, bear with us. We just have to unmute you there. There you are.
Hola, hello. Well, I have a translator with me, Rogério. But,
hi, everybody.
Bom, quero agradecer primeiramente o convite dessa live. É muito importante no dia de hoje aqui no Brasil.
Would like to thank you very much for this invitation. It is very important for us here in Brazil today.
Porque nós estamos passando por momento muito difícil aqui no nosso país.
The fact that we are facing a very big trouble here in Brazil.
E a moda está sendo uma das mais afetadas.
And the fashion is being one of the most affected.
Com toda essa pandemia.
Due to this pandemic.
São milhares de costureiras e costureiros que estão aí com necessidades.
Many sewings are facing problems.
E estamos fazendo uma campanha em apoio à moda aqui no Brasil, com artistas, grandes personalidades de todas as áreas.
And we are making a promotion with involving all artists and singers and many other kind of people who can make the efforts to solve this situation.
Então, a nossa missão aqui no Brasil, após essa pandemia, será um pouco maior.
So our mission here in Brazil, afterwards this big trouble, will be a little bigger.
Realizar o Africa Fashion Week aqui, pós-pandemia, será uma oportunidade para trazer mais esperança a todo o setor
African Week here
da
in Brazil,
moda.
In this afterwards this big trouble will be a very big target for us after this situation and to improve African fashion.
Para nós fazer o Africa Fashion Week é mais do que falar apenas de moda. Trata-se também de uma manifestação cultural.
For us to talk about fashion is must over talking about fashion. It's a cultural manifestation.
Desde que os negros africanos estiveram nessa terra, já produzimos essa moda.
Since the black people started to come to Brazil, we already started to develop this fashion.
Mas ela sempre ficou apenas nos guetos.
But it only stayed in ghettos in Brazil.
No entanto, com a realização de um evento dessa magnitude,
however,
nós
in
temos
developing this
condições,
kind of promotion of this event,
temos condições de fazer com que as grandes marcas, as grandes lojas de magazine possam, e não só produtos como roupas, mas todo um conceito voltado à estilização africana, que vai de roupa, modas, acessórios, até a absorvente íntimo, que tem a ver com a população negra, com o biotipo da população negra brasileira.
So we have an effort to develop many kinds, many accessories, clothes, different dresses for black fashion, and it comes not only for this kind of products, but also for intimate conditions for the black women.
Nós, negros, fomos condenados a centenas de anos a absorver apenas a moda branca.
We black people were condemned to absorb for many years, for over 100 years, the white fashion.
Só agora, nos últimos 20 anos, que conseguimos ter um pouco mais de acesso aos tecidos africanos e a modelagem africana para as mulheres negras.
Only since the last 20 years, we have now the condition to put all accessories and black fashion inside our market here in Brazil.
E, com certeza, fazer o African Fashion Week vai trazer para o Brasil uma libertação para aquilo que nós somos e queremos e para aquilo que nós pensamos.
And also to take African Fashion Week in Brazil will give us a freedom about fashion, and also will give an efforts to still developing such kind of business.
Oh, agradeço a todos. Muito obrigada.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Silvana, and welcome Africa Fashion Week Brazil. And now we're going to Africa Fashion Week, the one and only Amsterdam. Hi, Amsterdam.
Hi. Hi, my name is Stefio Meazi. I'm the host of Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam. And with me, we got the beautiful CEO, Diana. So,
Hi,
Diana.
Hello, Diana.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Diana.
Yeah. So, Diana, should you start a bit and then I continue, or?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam, it is something that is amazing. I started there in August 2019. I reached out to Diana and the team because I saw it when I was in Kenya 6 months before, and I never heard or ever seen anything about Africa Fashion Week. I did not know that existed until I just stumbled on Africa Fashion Week's Amsterdam Instagram, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I like how it's a great fusion of cultural, tourism, and entertainment. It is the whole package, and it shows Africa in an amazing way. So I reached out to the team because I'm a host and I wanted to work with them because I live in Norway. So I want to promote Africa more in Norway because we are it's more white people here than Black people. But people need to know what amazing stuff us Africans are doing for everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to see that Africa Fashion Week in Amsterdam really have developed a lot, and it's been going on for about 5 years. And it is connecting musicians, local musicians that are Africans in Amsterdam or that area in Southern Europe. And also we had the event host Master Queen from Liberia all the way there. So it's amazing how the team of Africa Fashion Week, we try to look for Africans all over the world to unite and show a great front. So Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam, I would describe that as our international franchise. Yeah.
Diana, would you like to say something also? Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, I am Diana Tambe. I'm the CEO and founder of Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam, whereby gave birth to Africa Fashion and Culture Week Brussels, Africa Fashion and Culture Week France, Rennes, Africa Fashion and Culture Week Malabo, and Africa Fashion and Culture Week Yaoundé. So we started in Amsterdam and we expanded to 5 different countries, and with the sole purpose of promoting and elevating African fashion, creative thinkers, creative designers. That we're not only looking at fashion, we're also talking about culture, we're talking about food, we're talking about art, we're talking about handicraft, we're talking about music. And yeah, so we are a platform that supports everyone and every inspired designers who are looking at promoting the brands on an international platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Diana. I know our Liliana Liliana is not just, well, first of all, she works for France 24. She's one of the news anchor, one of the most prominent Black Colombianas on the news stations in Colombia. And I know she has to run off in 2 minutes. So in addition to being the news anchorman, she also runs the only Black TV program in Colombia called Africa 7 Days. So before she runs off, Liliana, can you please just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit more about your why your passion has led you to this platform today in supporting this Africa Fashion Global. 1 second, Liliana, let's unmute your microphone. There you are.
Okay, I'm here. Thank you, Michael. I'm so happy to be here. Happy Africa Day to everyone. I want to thank you, Michael, and I want to thank Berky Arizala. She's the founder of the Africa Fashion Week Colombia, and I have been supporting the Africa Fashion Week Colombia for the last 2 years in terms of visibility. In reporting in France 24, I'm news anchor in France 24 in Spanish, and my show, as you said, is the only new show talking about Africa, not only about fashion, but everything about Africa. So my purpose is promoting African visibility. I think if we start to learn about Africa, about the different countries, about the identity, we will empower our identity as Afro-descendants. But I think aesthetic and fashion is a way of expression to us. It's a way to say that we are proud of being African and Afro-descendants. So to me, it's very important to promote African aesthetic, African fashion, African fabrics, African beauty, you know, natural hair, makeup, even every single expression of African beauty to me is very important. So that's the way I'm promoting from the TV station France 24 that I think maybe you know, how we can promote not only fashion, but identity, but also in being entrepreneurs of fashion, you know, and changing the global order of being the poor part of the world. Now we are the entrepreneurs, now we are the fashionists, now we are the people who is empowered. So I'm so happy because of that. And yes, I have to go, but I want to tell you from now that I want to have all your African Fashion Weeks in my TV show. So please, let's get in touch, because I know this year will be complex, you know, but I think everything you do in digital platforms or by websites or everything, I can put it in my program, you know, and I can talk also with the France 24 in English, French, and Arabic, and maybe we can increase the visibility of our Africa Fashion Weeks. Of course, my priority will be supporting Belkey and supporting Africa Fashion Week Colombia, because she's doing an amazing job and I'm very, very grateful with her. But yeah, just let me know. Also, I will ask you, Michael, to send me this recording, and then I will have a report about this meeting in the next Africa 7 days program. So just let me know whatever you want, whatever you need. I'm in Instagram, in my Instagram account, you can see more about me. I'm news anchor, social leader, writer. So just let me know, and I'm so happy to work with you, everyone. Happy Africa Day.
Thank you, Liliana. Thank you so very much. So Liliana is only one of the incredible media outlets, guys, that have really expressed such strong interest in supporting this Zoom meetup of the Africa Fashion Weeks around the world. And it was, as she said, it's not just supporting Colombia, but seeing the need to how by collaborating will support what's going on in Colombia. And we will elaborate on that in a little bit, but we haven't finished our introduction because we have Africa Fashion Week Middle East in the house.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Happy Africa Day and Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak.
Happy Africa Day.
Thank you so much for having us. So I think maybe we're one of the younger Africa Fashion Weeks. We were founded in 2019 and we're to have our first show in October. But with the year and how it's going at the moment, we're not sure how it's going to play out. But we do have a few, hopefully a few tricks up our sleeves. So let's see how it plays out. We founded Africa Fashion Week Middle East on the basis of celebrating African designers within Africa and the Middle East, celebrating the similarities between our cultures, our heritage, and also our trade relations. Our trade relations between Africa and the Middle East go back centuries. And so we felt like this was a good platform to celebrate all the heritage that we have and the similarities that we have that could bring us closer together. So we look forward to hopefully launching our first Africa Fashion Week soon, hopefully in 2020, if not 2021. And thank you for having me, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Badria. Thank you, Africa Fashion Week Middle East. And now I also want to bring you to someone very, very special here who's really this incredible platform of us coming together to inspire what she's about to embark on, which is huge also. So African Fashion Middle East, I know you guys, though you started last year, you're the baby still, but guess what? You have all of us who's going to support you. And we're also about to support Africa Fashion Week Caribbean by way of Trinidad and Tobago, the incredible designer, fashion designer herself, who's done some incredible work. She's going to tell you all about herself and her celebrity client base as an amazing designer. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Stacey Weeks Benjamin.
Happy Africa Day, everyone, and it's such a pleasure to be a part of this panel. So Diane Carlton, which is the name of my fashion label, is just 2 years old. We are baby brands, and we've gotten all these adult responsibilities in such a short time. I, just like Steffi, I knew nothing of Africa Fashion Week. A couple of weeks after I launched last year, we launched on June 1st, 2018. I saw a feature on Africa Fashion Week on the BBC, and it really piqued my interest. So I did my investigation, and I actually found out what the prerequisites were to qualify to show at this event. I didn't think that my aesthetic was very African, but I felt there was something that drew me to the pageantry of this event. I went on the media, on your social media, and it just blew my mind. One thing led to the next, and the next thing you know, I was showing at Africa Fashion Week.
Africa Fashion Week is
Africa Fashion Week London. Of course, from Trinidad to London is a long trek.
Just a little plug, guys. A little shameless plug.
Let me get it right. You know, I am so pleased to be asked to pioneer Africa Fashion Week Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago, and I feel that we are ripe for it. Of course, as you know, the Caribbean has a heavy population of people of African heritage, and almost every Caribbean fashion designer showcased or is influenced by their African roots. It is very present in our aesthetic, and we are very bold about our expression. We are, you know, color is our thing, and I just believe that this partnership will give us a platform to celebrate our Africanness, so to speak. Being at Africa Fashion Week 2019, I think we were the only Caribbean brand, and I was happy that we chose to be in the marketplace to experience the vibrance of the event, and just the sheer pageantry of a platform laid where we can be as extra as we like. We can we can just showcase our Coskel self in all our grandeur. As a designer, it really spoke to me. And it is so easy to correlate what we do here in Trinidad to what you are trying to do. I started off I've been in the beauty and fashion industry for the past 20 years on different facets, image management, you know, brand ambassador. So you understand the business of fashion. And we are in a time in Trinidad when the government has really been investing in fashion practitioners by setting up agencies to support us with learning opportunities where they have partnered with international faculties and they fly in the creme de la creme, you know, in garment construction and marketing, and they work individually with fashion designers, and not just of clothing, but from jewelry makers and accessory makers and handbags, pocketbooks, wallets, you know, just leather works, every aspect of fashion. They have facilitated a level of growth, you know, and so our industry is thriving, and we are ripe for a place where we get to showcase that in alignment with our fashion heritage. It is an exciting time, and of course COVID would have changed the prospects of our planning ability, but I do look forward to partnering with Princess Runke and the Africa Fashion Week London to bring Africa Fashion Week to Trinidad and Tobago and to the Caribbean at large.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Stacey. Thank you, and we're so happy that you know, that we're here to support you. And again, this, you know, this gathering here today is where we all need to be supporting each other in getting to the next level, really. You know? And so, whether it being with the Middle East or with the Caribbean, you know, just starting out, you know, it's the sort of camaraderie, but even more than that, the sisterhood, brotherhood, family that we need to get to the next level, but especially in getting over, you know, the crisis that we've just been hit with. I also want to go now to, this is very, you know, oftentimes when people hear about fashion, they often just think about the ladies, and ladies, you know, I mean, my gosh, you guys spend all the money in the world buying all these beautiful things. But, and you know, the men don't usually get as much recognition. And so you know, when I was doing my research and I came across Africa Men's Fashion Week, I said we have to invite them to this panel discussion. And so I reached out to Joey, who has been, this man is just doing incredible things in Ghana also in representing for, you know, men's designers. And so now I want to introduce you to Joey from Africa Men's Fashion Week. Joey?
Hi. Hi everyone. My name is Joey, speaking from Ghana currently. I'm the CEO from the Site Management Agency, and I'm so happy to see all of you. When Michael contacted me, I was like, whoa, I've never been on this big platform before because organizing Africa Men's Fashion Week, it's a very big deal because, you know, in the fashion industry, females are mostly the people that we see fashion all about. But in Africa Men's Fashion Week has been in existence for like 3 years now. And it's a very big platform that we combine fashion, music, awards, and the whole package as an entertainment. That I can remember on the first edition of the Africa Men's Fashion Week, we blew almost over 200 audience at the event, and which was very mind-blowing because we came up or we realized that a lot of African men in Ghana don't have a big platform to showcase their talent. So they keep on rushing to different countries and it's all about females. So why don't we just put this whole African men together and then promote those men on the biggest platform? And then we also realize that we have an amazing fashion design who do more of the male designs. There's the kaftans, the men's lace with the suits with African prints, the African fabric. And when we started, it has been so fruitful. We also realized that, okay, these people are doing an amazing job, so why don't you just go blend with some awards? So it's a two-whole show in one day. We make sure we also awards all the participants who come on board, from the fashion designers, for models, for makeup artists, for male makeup fashions, and then upcoming emerging photographers as well. That will give all of them a beautiful awards at the day of the events. And trust me, it hasn't been easy. For like 3 years now, holding on to men's platform in my country, Ghana, hasn't been easy, but we've been trying so hard to put it on the international platform. But then this year was a whole year that we had a rebrand of the whole program to make it so wide. And we've been able to organize our first masterclass online, which was last month, because of the lockdown and the whole COVID-19 issue. And we had massive viewers on that day as a masterclass, where we were able to contact few African fashion, different African countries. That really also triggered a lot of models, fashion designers, photographers to really come on board this year, as we're planning to have the third edition in October. That is, if everything goes well for us because of the whole pandemic all around the world. So Africa Men's Fashion Week is a big platform, and I'm so glad to meet all of you, and I'll be willing to really partner with so much and learn a lot from you guys to be able to hold on this Africa Men's Fashion Week, at least being the first time we're organizing this Africa Men's in the whole Africa world. And from next year, next 2 years, we're taking it all around the other Africa countries. Like we have Africa Men's Fashion Week, Colombia, Africa Men's Fashion Week. That we're going to begin in our country at the end of this year first, before we'll be able to do that. So thank you so much, Michael, and thank everyone for having the time with me on this platform. Thank you.
Well, I'll say, you know, guys, you guys been saying Mike, but I tell you, it's really thank you very much, Princess Rocky Adamalui, because she's the one who's making all of this happen, really. I also now, guys, so these are all the fashion based, but guess we have two very important platforms here who are doing incredible work in supporting designers and creatives on the continent of Africa. And so when I reached out to both of these platforms, they were so forthcoming in understanding how important it is to engage with the diaspora. And our platforms very much represent a deeper engagement with the diaspora and the expansion of markets outside of the continent. So I know I'll introduce you to the first person because she is going to be leaving us very shortly, and she has a very, very hectic schedule. And so, you know, last minute, we were able to contact her, and she said, of course, I'm going to be there to support, you know, this movement. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the incredible Roberta Annan of African Fashion Foundation. Roberta?
Thank you so much, Michael, for the introduction. And again, thank you, Princess Ronke. It was really a pleasure speaking to you the other day, and congratulations on all you're doing. And pleasure to meet all the noble panelists, and I'm very honored to be on here with you. So my name is Roberta Annan from Ghana, born and raised. I will just be a bit brief because I know we're very pressed for time, but my passion began when I started working at the United Nations in resource mobilization, which is fundraising. I was inducted informally into the fashion industry, and I've been dedicated and been working tirelessly in this sector since I actually got the first exposure. My exposure, can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly.
My initial introduction to fashion was by the late Franca Suzani, who was working on a publication called Rebranding Africa, where she was basically using her position as Vogue Italia editor-in-chief to project Africa in a very different lens, because what the media portrayed was often very negative. So she asked me to help with the project as a project developer. So I basically organized for her to interview the talent on the continent. And since then, I've been in love with what I saw, because even though I'm from here, I was born and raised here, I went to school in the States and lived overseas, and I appreciate our fashion and our culture and our heritage. But I think, you know, putting all of this in a platform and really seeing a uniform projection of our culture in a magazine really changed things for me. And I've never been the same. I realized that there's incredible beauty and talent on the continent. It's in abundance. We are blessed. And I say that even though we've lost a lot of lives during COVID, what I've seen is that we've also been able to utilize the creativity and innovation of the continent. Just look what just happened recently with Fashion Week, where a Congolese designer came up with a 3D format of her collection. I mean, this tells you the innovation that is on this continent. But one thing I also realized is, even though we have innovation and creativity, we lack a lot of things that is resources to ensure that we actually have a competitive play in the fashion industry globally. And some of these challenges includes not only funding is a huge part of it, but also the right infrastructure, education, even about the business of fashion. So I created a foundation that would actually support young up-and-coming African designers, not only with the financial opportunities through grants and even helping them raise capital, you know, through other platforms. And I'm even in the process of setting up a bigger fund, which is going to be investing in creative economy in Africa, but also to help them understand and give them the infrastructure they need. And when I say infrastructure, education is part of infrastructure. So helping them get the right training, the tools that they need to be able to understand the business aspect of their fashion. So you're doing the fashion design, but then also the business aspect, meeting deadlines, ensuring that you are selling your product. You're not just selling to your network, but your access in other markets to be able to sell overseas. So these are the things that we've done. We created industry opportunities for fashion designers by placing them with major fashion brands globally. So our first fellowship was actually placing a Nigerian fashion designer for 6 months in New York to work with an LVMH brand. And we've been doing this since 2014, and I'm very excited we've made mistakes, but we've evolved, we've learned from our mistakes, which is very important. Failure is very, very important an important equation in success. So we've learned from our mistakes and we've joined forces with many platforms, especially to learn, because we also have our weaknesses. We also partner up with those that are stronger so that we can all be strong together. So that's where we are. We have a very exciting updates that we can tell you during the course of this, but that's a brief introduction on AFF. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Thank you so very much. Roberta mentioned some very important things just now that will lead me into the introduction to this next gentleman here. One of which is the exposure to international markets. Ladies and gentlemen, if some of you don't know this man, I definitely encourage you to do your research in this man. He is the only fashion designer in the world to be given the title of UNESCO Artist for Peace. And the reason why he's received this award, guys, not just for his longevity in the fashion industry, but for the incredible work he's been doing with women and children in Africa, particularly in the Sahara region, and for creating employment. He also has the largest international fashion festival in the world, happening being FEMA. He has been in this festival, he rubs shoulders, he's friends with the biggest of the big fashion houses in the world. From the Yves Saint Laurent to the Louis Vuitton, to the Paco Rabanne, to the Christian Lacroix, to the Gucci, all of them. And so when it comes to access to international markets and knowing the right players on that level, this gentleman definitely brings that. But something else that Roberta mentioned is infrastructure. And one of the issues that is so important in that infrastructure is having a body that represents us well and gives us that accessibility. Mr. Al-Fadi is also the president of the Federation of African Fashion Designers and Creative Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Mr. Al-Fadi. 1 second, Mr. Al-Fadi, let's unmute your microphone 1 second because we can't hear you. Oh, we still can't hear you. 1 second. There you go. Go ahead.
It's okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael, thank you for your invitation. Thank you for this organization to get the world to promote Africa. So happy to understand the world to everyone. Brazil, Colombia, anywhere in Africa, I think that's a great thing for Africa. I am Alpha D. I want to tell you a Happy New Year for Africa Day and Ramadan Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem. And also we pray for everyone. We pray for you to get new face for Africa and for African fashion and to give chance for Black people, because the thing is really nobody want to ask African can do it. And I can tell you something African do and African can do it. Thank you for your understanding. My English is not very good. I speak more French. That's why I want to speak in English to give chance to everyone to understand my voice, and also to say to you, I am in fashion 40 years, maybe 42 years. And 40 years is is really work, is really the thing to promote Africa designer and also to promote you, the younger. The younger for me, with the things really we're supposed to get. Africa is a continent. Africa is not like a town. Somebody thinks everyone in Africa speaks the same language. We're supposed to know Africa is like the things rich, more rich per continent. More rich continent in arts, in creativity, in textile, in jewelry, in beauty. The Black woman and the mixed woman is the beauty in the world, the most beauty in the world. We're supposed to know also my hobby. I work with the presidents. I make a collection for the big men's, big women's, and the things is really sometimes they don't understand what I mean because they will talk about Africa. My showroom in New York, my showroom in Paris, my showroom in Abidjan, in Senegal, everywhere, but it's because of you that is today proud and to be proud to be with all of you to understand Africa can do it. And Africa is the nice platform. And I think Michael is a crazy person. This guy, he forced and he talk and he get the way we can make Africa together. To be together is the force for Africa. That's where we can talk about our federation. Our federation, I'm the president since 1994. Chris Dudai, I know we are French speaking, but we try to make it with English speaking, Spanish speaking, Portuguese speaking to get really Africa one. Sometimes Union Africa not give us force for fashion, but now we want to go to Ethiopia to see them and to tell them African can do it. And fashion industry is not only for European, it's not only for American, it's not for African, for the black people. Black people is a creativity. All the designer, the big one like Christian Lacroix, like Saint Laurent, all they have the black people in the downtown. In down, they work for them. But now is the time to show your work. It's time to show how you are. The beauty, the collection, the industry, and to get the money for that too. And we all the big bank want to promote you. One gives, they want to have chance to get the new voice for Africa, and this industry can really help Africa. And also I want to talk about my festival. My festival, we make 22 years this years to promote Africa fashion designer, the younger, the top model. We have Aske is like is a connection with the younger and the younger between banker, between promotion and protection intellectual, and also the things really to get the chance to be together. I want for this panel to say to you, I am really proud to be with you. We have all the continent, we have all the world together to promote black people and to give the chance. And I'm here for you. I am in the continent. You are maybe in Brazil, you are in France, you are in Amsterdam, you are in Ghana, but Ghana is a nice platform. But the Ghanaian understand, the Nigerian understand, they really want to put more force in fashion. That is the things because the president know, the politician beginning to understand for that. That we want for African continent to get our politician, they're supposed to understand us. I am artist for peace for UNESCO. And because peace, if no peace, we can't do nothing. I am from Timbuktu. I born in Timbuktu. They kill every day. And because they don't understand about creativity. And you want to get creativity there to give them chance for in the country. They have leather. Mali, they have cotton. They have jewelry. They have everything. And I'm sure if we have a strong path, if we are together, we can make more and more creativity for employment, and we can fight with the poverty, and we can give chance really to younger to say, I want to do fashion. Because, you know, when I was young, I told my parents, I want to do fashion. They said, no, this work is for women, it's not for guys. It's not good work, la, 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 la. But the things is now they know the fashion industry is really noblesse. It's like a king work. It's the things we're supposed to do together and to promote African textile, African jewelries, African beauty, African decoration, African, all the things together, we can do it more and more. And the banking beginning to understand for the financial, but now financial, no work, now financial, no development. And the financial bank beginning to understand us. Really, I'm so happy. And I am here for you. I am with Michael and with all of you. And we can tell something. We're supposed to be together for the next FEMA and to be together also to go to Ethiopia to see the African Union. And if we get in New York, we are in London, everywhere the Fashion Week down, and the big Fashion Week, we can be with them because we have the big fashion is not through the world. And our Fashion Week is not small Fashion Week. We can, and we're supposed to be together. Thank you for understanding. God bless you. And I'm with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Fadi. So guys, to help you also to help bring a bit of perspective in that also what Mr. Al-Fadi is mentioning just now regarding his the FEMA festival. As I said, it's a huge platform that has the biggest brands in the world at the festival. And one of the things that Mr. Al-Fadi really wants to is help exactly what our platforms have been doing, young emerging designers at the forefront to get that sort of, the same sort of access, the same sort of visibility. But in addition to that, he's also saying that by coming together, we have greater chances of getting the funding. And I know both for Africa, the African Fashion Foundation, and Africa Fashion Week London have been working, having in conversation with Mr. Alfadi to see how we can bring this together, what we're doing today, in order to be able to have the access to the funding. But as Roberta rightfully said, it's not just about funding. There's certain things that must be in place to ensure that we are sustainable, to ensure that we are in promoting the other issues that we are actually addressing, which is going to lead me to one of my first questions. But before I do that, we have our friend or sister who literally just, she was in the audience, but now she figured it out, she's here with us. This is Africa Fashion Week Warsaw, guys. Africa Fashion Week Poland is in the house. Ene is here. Ene, can you hear us, Ene? There you are. Go ahead,
Hello,
Ene.
everybody.
Please
Hi.
introduce yourself, Ene. Please introduce yourself.
I am Ene Daniluk, and the founder of Africa Fashion Week Warsaw. I started the African Fashion Week Warsaw in 2016. There was a need for Africans to connect and for Africans to tell their stories by themselves in Poland. I realized people know a little about Africa, and I created the platform where fashion designers come together with artists, with different people in Africa that could tell our stories in our own voice, in our own eyes, and in our own way. So I started the Africa Fashion Week in Warsaw, and for 2 years after we started, we went to schools teaching students about Africa. Generally, we pick different topics about Africa and teach people. So we registered a foundation called the Experience Africa Foundation. And with that, we reach out to a lot of people. Also, I work with the Embassy of Nigeria, Warsaw as well. So we provide materials for schools as well from the embassy. When they need anything, the foundation supplies them, and then we reach out to schools and we go in person to tell stories about Africa. So the Africa Fashion Week Warsaw, it's done in a way to connect people, not just Africans living in Poland, but Africans coming together to tell their stories, and people that love Africa as well. We give them the platform for the Poles that visited Africa as well. They come around to tell their stories. So during the event, we have like fashion shows, we have the African market, we have drama, we've got dance, we've got music, we've got food, different things, everything that portray our culture. We bring them all together to let people know who we are, what we stand up for, what we live for, and what we do, our cultural beliefs, the differences and all that these differences come together to complement each other and not to discriminate each other in any way. So it's a platform for Africans to tell their stories about themselves and what we believe in to the world and to Poland. So we started in 2016, and we've had 2 editions. This year, we're preparing towards the next. We normally have it in October, and I invite you all to join us whenever you can. It will be lovely to have you all as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ene. Also, guys, I'm sure you guys have seen, there's someone else who've joined us. Actually, her name is Alexis Rai. Alexis is the head of strategy for African Fashion Foundation. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, how are you?
Very, very well. Alexis, where are you, Alexis?
I'm in New York City.
So Alexis is in New York, guys. So eventually, I know Roberta, because as I mentioned earlier, that Roberta is really pressed for time and she's going to be leaving us shortly. So Alexis is going to be here to support AFF. So thank you, Roberta. Thank you for joining us. So guys, we've all introduced ourselves. The audience have heard more or less exactly what we do on our different platforms. In addition to that, we understand that the COVID-19 is a crisis that has hit every single one of us. And some of us were not able to do our event this year. Some of us are trying to reinvent ourselves. And so in doing so, we understand that we can't just stop doing it, because we have to continue in promoting Africa, but more, in addition to that, is just showing exactly what our unique positions are in our respective countries. So I would like to ask you guys, how has the COVID crisis affected you, and what are you doing now? What are you doing right now to ensure that you continue the conversation that you have started on your respective platforms? Can I go to Colombia, please?
Sure. Yeah, give me a moment.
You can translate it, Julius, you can translate in Spanish, Julie. Translate in Spanish.
Okay. Belki, le está preguntando que cómo la situación del COVID-19 te ha afectado en el Africa Fashion Week, que de qué forma única ha sucedido y qué planeas hacer.
Hola. Bueno, a todos nos ha afectado mucho en la industria. Todo está quieto a nivel de empresas patrocinadoras. Las empresas que he consultado tienen un presupuesto congelado. Por ahora no están tan dispuestos a hacer una inversión en un evento de moda. Todo se está vinculando hacia la salud, hacia el ahorro, porque hay mucha incertidumbre al respecto. Y por nuestra parte, tomamos la decisión de enfocarnos en tener nuevas ideas, en aplazar el Africa Fashion Week hasta que se pueda hacer de manera presencial para el 2021. Pero seguimos soñando en grande de que podemos hacer un gran lanzamiento digital con todos ustedes. Lo importante es conocernos, escuchar los sueños que tenemos todos, y estoy segura que lo podremos lograr, hacer una alianza fortalecida y aportar a cada una de las otras versiones que hay en el mundo, y poder enviar un mensaje de que trabajando en equipo sí lo vamos a lograr. Por ahora lo importante es estar vivos.
Sorry.
¿Qué dijo Juliana?
Hablo en francés. Okay, so Ms. Belki is telling that this situation looks bad for all the Colombian people. And for example, with the promotions and the companies that make the sponsors for the African Fashion Week Colombia, they don't have a lot of money, so they are not interested to make this sponsor. Also, so Belki is doing make ideas for the African Fashion Week to the next year, because in this moment in our country we cannot do events. So she is very happy to be here, and also she's proud if you can go to the Africa Fashion Week Colombia or be in a release digital, and all you are invited. And also she thinks it's important to send a message of in be together, work together can be the best thing for all of you. ¿Listo? ¿El que quieres decir algo más?
Quiero decirles que mientras que vamos generando estas ideas, lo que estamos haciendo ahora es la atención de empresas y de un público, y por eso los invitamos a que vean nuestros Instagram Live, donde estamos invitando a una conversación con diferentes líderes de sectores socioeconómicos para irles contando que se acerca el Africa Fashion Week, para ir cautivando una audiencia cada vez más grande, y cuando ya se pueda hacer el gran lanzamiento, ya podemos, la gente ya va a estar enterada, el público va a estar enterado, el público va a estar más motivado. Lo que sabemos es que en estos momentos la ocupación de todos es conservar, preservar la salud, pero a la vez soñando en que sí podemos lograr este tipo de sueños. La moda en Colombia La industria de la moda en Colombia está en constante crecimiento y el Africa Fashion Week es un evento que le da hace parte de los grandes eventos de la moda en el país. Solamente lleva 2 versiones, entonces estamos muy contentos por el resultado y esta situación por la que estamos pasando en el planeta, la estoy viendo como una gran bendición para poder así conectarnos con el origen de la raza humana.
Okay, she said that she invited you to be part or look in the Instagram live. She is making a discussion with different leaders and also to motivate that when the African Fashion Week Colombia goes, they will know how it's working. Also, she says that in this moment, for all the world, it's very important the health, not the fashions. So she is thinking that we are waiting for the future, see this African Fashion Week, and also that it's important to know that is the fashion industry here in Colombia is growing. So it's important, the African Fashion Week Colombia, and she see this situation, the COVID-19, like a blessed to see how is the human race.
Thank you. It very much is a blessing because otherwise all of us would have been so busy, we wouldn't have had time to really get together. Is that right, Amsterdam? Diane, is that correct?
Correct.
So you see how gorgeous Diana look right now, guys? She probably would have had a headscarf on and some denim jeans and a t-shirt and get to cracking, right, Diana?
No, Diana has always looked gorgeous. Trust me, I have some pictures of her from 2015 and 16, and she has always looked gorgeous, you know.
Oh, there you see?
Stop from looking gorgeous, right, Diana?
Right, thank you. You too, by the way, you too.
So Diane, tell us also, I want to pose that question to you also about the challenges that Amsterdam has been facing, you know, if Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam has been facing, and what you guys have going on at the moment to sort of keep that, you know, keep the conversation going, keep that traction.
Right, we are supposed to have scheduled 5 events for this 2020, starting with France and Brussels, then Amsterdam, then Malabo and Cameroon. But because of COVID-19, we have been forced to cancel already 3 of these events. That's the first 3. With France and Brussels, and we are looking forward to be able to host the Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam. But we don't want to emphasize on the negativity of the COVID-19. We want to think positive. We want to see how we can actually work together.
C'est à leur niveau peut-être.
Yes, go ahead, Diana. Thank you.
Right. So we want to focus on the positivity of what this COVID-19 has led to, which is us coming together right now and having to have this talk. So we're looking at having one Africa, United States of Africa, just like we have the European Union, and so we can have one African Fashion Week. I'm looking at working together with everybody on this talk right now to see if we could be one African Fashion Week and support each other and work together. I was very much inspired. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I was inspired by Africa Fashion Week London to kick off the first Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam, which led to the 5 African Fashion Weeks platform that we have right now. So Ronke, I would like to thank you for inspiring me. I think I'm the youngest on this platform right now, and I'm so grateful for you because when I started in 2011, I came straight to you, and you know it, and you welcome me like, you know, a sister, a mother. And so my message today is that we should look how we can come together and work together, build a platform that would inspire and connect and grow our upcoming fashion designers and artisans. Thank you.
Thank you, Steffi. Thank you. I want to pose that same question to you, Anna, about Poland and the challenges that you face. Because I know, are you still in Nigeria, Anna? I mean, you're living.
Yes, I'm still in Nigeria.
Annie, the last time I heard you're in Nigeria, living it up. So, are you still in Nigeria or Poland? Tell us the truth.
I'm still in Nigeria, having fun.
So, tell us about the challenges that you know that in Poland for you guys that you've been facing. Trying to keep the the conversation with the platform and your many events.
our first challenge is we do not have the African population, not as much as other states or nations have. The African population in Poland are not as much as in London or in Amsterdam or in other places. So we gathering ourselves together is not the easiest thing when we call each other together to work, because sometimes it's sad that we compete amongst ourselves. So I design clothes and I could do the show just for my shows, but I felt, why spend the money for myself if there's a need to promote Africa here? So I decided, okay, instead of having my yearly shows, let me have the African show. And after that, I can work on myself. But there's a need for Africans to come together and work together. And right now, the whole COVID situation has slowed down a lot of things. Lots of people have lost their jobs. Many organizations are sponsors right now, and business is slow for everyone. So we're actually considering if we should have it in October or not. And if we're not going to have it in October, we're thinking of something we could do, perhaps something online, something to keep our audience and the people aware that we have them in mind, something to support people in a way that we can reach out to the designers and all that, because it's actually a difficult moment for everyone. So and right now there are lots of restrictions to public gatherings and all that. There are no cultural or the theater we partner with is basically closed for the moment because of the COVID situation. So we cannot gather in a large amount, and that's what the whole Africa Fashion Week is about. We need to gather as much as we can to celebrate and promote Africa. So that's part of our. That's basically the problem we have. And also funding is something else. When we gather together, it's not too easy getting sponsors, and we would like to have more sponsors so we can have a bigger platform to reach out to more people. Thank you.
Well, you know, I've heard everyone's talking about working together and just really seeing how we can, in one of the ways of, getting over this big problem is going virtual. That's going to segue into this conversation that I know Princess Ronke has been, really shaping and brainstorming, that the whole team has been working very closely to put together something that we think that would be supportive and inclusive of all of you and all the other Africa Fashion Weeks that are not here at the moment. Princess Ronke, would you like to tell us more about, in terms of helping the platforms, what we've thought about?
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone. Listening to everyone, it's obvious that we all have one common goal, which is creating awareness for African fashion, and it's all done with passion, because listening to all of you talk, it's driven by passion. And at Africa Fashion Week, what COVID has allowed us to do is, I think, take a step back and be a bit more innovative and reinvent ourselves. We have decided to move a lot of our activities online because we're not even sure when lockdown is going to be over, and if and when the lockdown is over, are people going to be comfortable in social gatherings in hundreds and thousands? So we're not sure of that yet. So what we have decided to do is move a lot of our activities online. I think we started with our webinars, which ended last week. It was a huge success. Next week, and we're starting our master classes. We have experts in different fields in the fashion industry who are going to be doing classes, talking about the challenges and different things that can help the creatives in fashion and in other fields. We also have partnered with Henley's Business School UK and Parsons School of Design New York, and we are launching. We've launched our online courses. Those are going to start in July, but I think the promotions are out already. We have a lot of scholarships that we're awarding so that designers, young designers in Africa and the African diaspora can benefit, and still keep busy during this COVID period. And another thing that we have launched as well is Africa Fashion Week Global. And that is going to be a virtual platform where we want all of you to be a part of it, because we know that a lot of young designers, emerging designers around the world, they rely on their fashion business to sustain themselves. So we know that there's a situation with COVID, but we can't just sit back and not do anything. So Africa Fashion Week was born out of that, that urgent need and moral obligation to continue to support designers. For Africa Fashion Week Global, it's going to be like, it's going to be the same as the catwalk, but it's going to be virtual. It's going to be done online. There are going to be breakout sessions. There are going to be conferences, presentations, catwalk shows, and we would love all of you to be a part of it. It's for Africans in the diaspora. It's for Africans in Africa. It's for Africans and people of African descent. And we know we can't do it without you. We've all been talking about, you know, one global platform, one unification, one voice for Africa. So we would love everyone to be a part of Africa Fashion Week Global virtual show. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Princess. And just really getting your just adding a little bit to what Princess Ronke said, is whereby your involvement, you are directly involved in that whole process and exactly getting your, you know, the designers, because at the end of the day, we recognize that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility in promoting, having us telling our own story, promoting Africa, promoting exactly the sort of social, political issues that we're dealing with. For example, in Colombia, in Brazil, across Latin America, there's a clear understanding of what our purpose is. But in order to continue to ensure that we are discussing those issues in a way that is that's received clearly, we have to think of creative ways of doing so. And this COVID-19 has certainly put a stop to a whole lot of you know, a lot of things, and so we have to continue that conversation. So we're really hoping that all of you will join us, because it's not now in doing this global, the Africa Fashion Week Global, it's not Africa Fashion Week Global just London. It's Africa Fashion Week Brazil, Poland, Amsterdam, Colombia, Caribbean, Middle East, everybody, LA, it is Africa Fashion Week Global. And so your part in the development and bringing that to fruition is solely dependent on everyone's involvement here. And we want to continue to extend that to all the Africa Fashion Weeks around the world. Does that make sense, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, one thing Stacey mentioned that was so important. Stacey said that when she saw, when she came across Africa Fashion Week London via the BBC, she didn't think that her designs were particularly African, which is quite interesting. And that's quite, because I think a lot of designers, indeed, if you're not coming from the continent where this, you know, where they're really, you know, pushing the boundaries when it comes to reinvention of what is African fashion. Outside of the continent, there is clearly a gap where people feel like maybe my design won't fit in. So I want to come to some of you guys. I want to come to you, Badria, in the Middle East, because you just don't represent you know, the African diaspora. You also represent the Middle Eastern diaspora on your platform, and what that means in reinventing the image of African fashion and creativity in the Middle East. What does that mean for you? And,
so
and how do you demonstrate, what was your intention of, you know, you know, bringing that across to your audience?
So when we founded Africa Fashion Week Middle East, we wanted to celebrate the two regions coming together and being the platform for that. The reason being was there's a lot of creatives in Africa and the Middle East, and with the position that we're in, being situated in Dubai, we kind of are very central. So the connection to Europe, to Asia, back to Africa was pretty easy. And with Dubai being a city that is very cosmopolitan, and also wanting to connect and find innovative solutions, being a city of the future, etc., we found it a great position to kind of be a launch pad for African designers, especially the contemporary ones, and those that can actually cater not only to the African culture or aesthetics, but also international aesthetics, because we find Dubai is a melting pot of a lot of different people that come and live here, especially the expat community. It's very large, and also catering to the Arab aesthetics, because the cultures are very similar, or the attire and the dress is very similar. We found that African designers could potentially cater to various different markets. And so that was the inspiration for us to actually bring about. And there's so much talent. Me being South African, and also the South African designers that are coming out, we felt like, you know, this could be a great space for them to even test the market and see how it responds. The only thing was, obviously, we had a lot of plans, but of course nature had other plans. And so we've had a lot of events planned for the year for the community to get to know us. We wanted to do like a press announcement. We wanted to do a iftar art exhibition for the local creatives. We wanted to do all these little interesting things to the build up to October in line with Expo 2020. And unfortunately, it did not work out that way. We do, of course, still want to look for sponsors in the meantime, but at the moment, everyone is just super scared to move forward. And so digital has become the solution. And of course, my own company, we offer some tech solutions. And so we're looking forward to then pivoting in this direction and seeing how we can get designers onto a virtual platform as well. And so this will be quite...
But Ray, can I interrupt for a second? I know one of the things that we discussed also is how your company, Fashion Foresight, would be involved in supporting the Africa Fashion Weeks around the world.
Understand, Michael. I want to talk about Middle East. It's very important for me to talk about Middle East.
1 second, Mr. Alfadi. 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. I'll come to you 1 second. Thank you.
Okay. My contribution for Middle East is very important.
Yes.
And my light is going. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. I'll be real quick. So Fashion Foresight, we offer trend forecasting. We offer data solutions for brands. How do brands access the data that help them connect? So this is a part of our technology solutions. And so one of the ways is to create VR and AR experiences of brands. And how do we then take that technology and make it accessible for everyone? And so this is something that me and Africa Fashion Foundation are trying to solve, hopefully in the next coming months, and then offer it obviously to all the platforms for Africa Fashion Weeks around the world. And so it becomes a sustainable solution for everyone. And so that is at the core of the idea. And hopefully if we get the right interest and the right team going, we can bring it to life in pretty soon. 3 months we need to actually to bring it to life. So yeah, that's where we're headed at the moment. So let's see what happens. If it happens in the way that we want, we can meet October deadline. If not, then the new year would have to be the new deadline. And
so just with your platform, you're definitely showing how you can reinvent the perception of Africa, from a fashion, from a creative standpoint, and that's hugely impressive. And I mean, we're all here to support that, that big goal, and we'll very much be part of the whole process too, and where we can, because technology, as we all know, is definitely part of the future of fashion. If you don't incorporate technology, whether it be e-commerce, you certainly will, or you definitely will not be able to sustain yourself. I want to come to you also, Diana, please, about regarding the the reinvention and of impression of African fashion and creative industry, and what your platform has been able to do in shedding light and promoting. Diana, can you hear us? Oh, hold on. I just wanted to come to you and ask about what Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam has been able to do in terms of shedding light on people's perception of Africa and African fashion and creative industry, in reinventing reinventing and what that means.
Right. First of all, the city of Amsterdam has very well accepted the event since its first edition. And sorry about that. And no, it's the perception of African fashion and the growth of African fashion has immensely increased since we started in 2014 for our first event. So therefore, we are still very looking forward to work with other African fashion weeks around the world so that we can come as we can be a platform as one to be able to inspire upcoming African designers, because the issue that we have noticed organizing fashion events around the world, because we own 5 platforms so far, is that most designers are creative, but they don't have a platform to be able to sell and express their creativity. So we want to key into that and try to see how we can develop the market and selling points of supporting African brands.
Thank you. Steffi, Steffi, since, as you said, when you came, you didn't know anything about, you've never seen anything about African fashion before. So have you been able to see how the perception of African fashion has changed now that you're aware of all these different African fashion weeks around the world?
Yes, I have, but I also feel like it has been that way all the time. It's just that people have not been knowing. And I feel like that's why it's so important to everybody that's doing something that needs more people involved, have to update their social media, websites, Instagram, Twitter, and everything. You need to use that. And that's how I found this amazing franchise, because I was literally like, I was blown away. I was so shocked because I saw the Instagram, the post was nice, the beautiful pictures, and I really stalked the whole thing. And I said like, this is home. This is home. I need to work with that. And as my part as being one of the hosts and doing some of the social media, I take pride on doing the stuff behind the scenes, filming a lot when designers are with the models, when we do rehearsals and the meetings, because I want people to see like, whoa, like, you know how Africans, we are so professional, elegant, and intelligent. And those are things what are they? Like the news, like the mainstream media don't show that. They don't show their professionalism and everything that we do, their details and all that. So it's really important, the social media part, and I love doing that, and that's why I love to host, I love to talk, I love to show the real and nice positive perspective. Because for instance, in Norway, unfortunately, it is growing, but it's still like, oh, can Black people do that? Black people stuff around this and that. And that's why I take pride on, no, they can. I'm a strong ambassador for that, and it is what it is.
Thank you, Steffi. Silvana, that's going to lead me to my question for you, because indeed, Steffi mentioned something about, how in Norway, how Black people might be hesitant about, whether or not they have the liberties that they can do certain things, or is there, I know in Brazil has a very rich Afro-Brazilian heritage and culture. Is very vibrant, particularly in Bahia. And I know you're the president of ECOWAS, the Chamber of Commerce for Brazil also. So tell us about how you continue to promote this visibility of the African heritage and culture in Brazil, your work, because I know Africa Fashion Week Brazil hasn't really have a big major event yet, but your background continues to promote African culture and it's linked with Brazil and the continent. So please tell us more about your work. One second, hold on, let me unmute you, Silvana.
Ok.
There you
Ok. Brasil tem 56% da população negra. Então, nós estamos falando mais de 100 milhões de negros no Brasil.
We have around 60% of the population of Brazil are Black people. We are talking about around 100 million of people, of Black people in Brazil.
Ou seja, dos mercados mais promissores do mundo.
One of the biggest market in the world.
Por muitos anos, a indústria brasileira resistiu a ter acesso à moda africana.
For many years, the fashion industry has made efforts to not go ahead with the Black fashion in Brazil.
Mas nós éramos ocultos na mídia, nós éramos ocultos na cultura e com quase nenhum acesso a investimentos.
We have been hiding in the culture, we have been hiding in the communications and social medias, but without any investment in these segments.
Mas de alguns anos para cá, o mercado percebeu o quanto era lucrativo atuar para esse grupo específico de pessoas.
But since some years ago, the market has been another view about how can be available to invest in this segment for these people.
Iniciou primeiro pela indústria de cosméticos.
It started first from the beauty cosmetics segment.
Depois, logo acessou as outras áreas voltadas à beleza e, finalmente, a todos outros tipos de produto.
And afterwards came from another part of the beauties and also going ahead with another many segments.
No entanto, agora nós estamos vivendo uma fase de solidificar as conquistas que fizemos.
Now we are facing a very interesting situation. We are making efforts, and we are making these efforts in structured to operate over the market.
Porque, embora sejamos metade da população, ainda somos dependentes de uma política que não tem interesse no nosso.
Although we are around the middle of the population in Brazil, we have politics that are not interested to develop these segments here.
São 15 anos que nós fazemos uma feira internacional chamada FEAFRO.
We have been developing an international trade show in Brazil since the last 15 years.
Onde reunimos 32 países da África
e
países da diáspora africana.
Where we congregated around 15 countries from Africa and many other ones.
E isso mostrando o quanto essa relação é importante para o desenvolvimento e a economia brasileira.
And showing how this relationship is important not only for the fashion world, but also for the population and for the politics here in Brazil.
Então, plataformas como a African Fashion Week, com todas esses países envolvidos, com certeza é uma oportunidade de nós realmente solidificarmos essa luta de tantos e tantos anos.
So this kind of platform like African Fashion Week is very important to solidify our efforts in order to be still operating in this market.
Mas hoje nós representamos alguns grupos de empreendedorismo.
Although actually we represent some entrepreneurship groups.
Onde nós tentamos, de uma maneira de criar pequenas células de atuação.
where we are trying to act as to develop little cells of actuation in this market.
E com isso
and by this way attracting investment in this segment and in many other efforts, and also for the other segments, many other ones.
Thank you.
Na verdade,
Thank you,
para pequenos
Silvana.
empreendedores.
Thank you so much. I mean, guys, it is clear that the work that Silvana is doing is incredible. One thing we also recognize too is that while, you know, like in Colombia and Brazil, there's a lot of other important issues that they're dealing with and you know, not just benefits and reasons for the platform, particularly when it comes to the socio-political recognition that the Afro-Brazilians and Afro-Colombians face. And I think while we need to work together also, all of us, I think it's great to see that both Brazil and Colombia can actually be doing greater work together and we will definitely be there to support you guys too. I know Princess Wanke, that's something that's very important for Princess Wanke.
Very important, yes.
In supporting you guys. I want to also come to Mr. Alfadi because I know he wants to say something too regarding, you know, the support of the Federation support for the African Fashion Weeks and also his platform, the FEMA platform, you know, in what he can do to all of us, not just in funding, but also in terms of reconnecting with the continent. Mr. Alfadi? Mr. Alfadi is in deep conversation. Can you see Mr. Alfadi, dare you? Hello, Mr. Alfadi, hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm here, but everything is okay.
I see your, so Mr. Alfadi.
My battery is very low, 5%. It's gone. That the problem is I come to my friend to talk to you. That's what I want to talk.
We're almost finishing, Mr. Alfadi. So, Mr. Alfadi, so I know you wanted to talk about the Middle East, but I also would like for you to, in our conversation, you talked about how much the FEMA can support Africa Fashion Weeks around the world, and how the Federation can support Africa Fashion Weeks around the world. Can you say briefly what how you can help us?
Yes, FEMA is like 22 years. We invited the world. The Guyana, the France, America, everywhere, 22 years of fashion designer to the World Cup for this festival. And we promote them, the younger, and you know how it's FEMA, like we want to show the African diaspora to make the industry truly and really. And our designer from the World Cup for this festival. The thing is really we want to also get the industrial and the financial person come for this festival to give chance to Africa fashion designer and African industry from the world to know how FEMA exists. We get all the designers from European, they came to show their fashion, but the black people, I don't want to say black people, the diaspora and the person is in Brazil, they come, we get how many designers came from Brazil, came from Cubana, came from Guatemala, came from for this festival. And we know FEMA promote really the designer came from the diaspora, and to show how the diaspora also can make fashion and Africa fashion truly. You know, but the federation is like the Federation for Africa, is Africa Federation. And the federation in one country is very difficult, but federation for one continent is very, very difficult. But you try to make it truly with the younger and to get a new faith for that, you know? And what I want to talk about you for Middle East, you know, in our continent, all our north is like Dubai. All our north is like Middle East. All our collection in Africa is like Middle East. Middle East is like they make part for Africa, and we can make collection for them. They can't go only in South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Niger, Mali, and this all is Middle East. but the collection is a Muslim country too. And Muslim and Middle East, really, we can make together the things really to can help for this industry to be together, you know?
Thank you, Mr. So what, to elaborate a little bit more, what Mr. Fadi is saying, guys, is that with the FIMA, the International Fashion Festival, is whereby all of the designers from all our platforms can actually be featured at the festival. You know, that is the sort of support that FIMA can provide also, and the federation in just being together, the kind of funding, because at FIMA there are businesses and sponsors and partnerships from across the continent, but from around the world also, and so there's the opportunity to be featured at the actual festival and get the support of the federation too. I also want to bring in to Oniyinche from LA, from Africa Fashion Week LA, and the incredible work that you're doing, Oniyinche, in bringing designers from the continent to LA and bringing, you know, expanding them to the LA market, not just the LA market, but the US market. What has that been like for you you know, for your platform? How has the challenges, and the experience been for you?
So bringing designers, especially from Africa to LA, has been pretty, it's been pretty interesting because LA is very far from everywhere. So I know designers, you know, are more interested in usually going to Europe, going to London, or, you know, going somewhere. But yeah, LA is pretty far. I've been able to get some designers to come out from the continent, from Nigeria, from Sierra Leone, from Senegal, from South Africa, and, you know, other countries, from London as well. So, I mean, one of our main focuses is that we don't just focus on African print, we focus on African designers. So it doesn't matter what kind of designs you make. It's more so about the fact that you're an African designer, and we want to help expand your brand. And from that, because a lot of people think when they think African fashion, they just think of, you know, the prints and, you know, the head wraps and all of that. But, you know, our focus is actually building designers all together, not just designers who work with a certain print. And we have been able to, you know, help designers. With this COVID-19, there are a lot of issues because we probably won't be able to have a show this year just because most live events in Los Angeles have been canceled. So right now what we're doing is we're trying to prepare for next year, see what we can do. We probably will be, you know, holding some online events and partnering with some, you know, other platforms here in Los Angeles, and, you know, hopefully with you guys to see what we can do as far as helping our designers still, you know, elevate their brands virtually.
Thank you so very much. Oniyinche, you mentioned something very important about how the distance of which designers have to travel from Africa to get to LA. But, you know, with the distance also, distance comes with money. I mean, that's just, it's more expensive, you know. So oftentimes it just so happens that, you know, by us working together, by us having the support of, say, the federation, the funding, there are ways of we can support some designers can be supported through sponsorship. Do you know what I mean by us doing that? But also, as Princess Wanke mentioned about the, you know, the Africa Fashion Week Global virtual platform, if all of us get to support our designers in being featured on a broader scale, on a global scale, and get the sort of international market exposure that they probably would not have had, you know, just by being on one platform. Does that make sense to everyone?
I do feel that Ani raised a good point where she said it's not just about African print. I feel that's very important because people have that misconception and they have that stereotyping that is what African fashion is. And it's truly not. You will see African contemporary designers that can cater to European markets, that can cater to Asian markets. And I feel like it's our duty to break that stereotype and not just show African print. because at the end of the day, although that is African aesthetics, when you're looking at a global market, not many people want to buy that. Not because it's not something that they would wear day to day, or something they would buy as like a monumental piece, or a piece that says it's African, but it's not something that would be a second or third or fourth buy for them. And I think when it comes to strategizing for designers and their business, they need to understand that there has to be a contemporary side of their collection. And I feel like that is our duties to actually deliver that.
Badria, that is very rightfully said. I want Princess Ronke can you touch on the topic of how important African-inspired designers is to the AFWL platform?
Okay, so thank you, Michael. So at Africa Fashion Week London, our designers are not just African designers. We've had other designers who are not Africans who do African designs, and we've had African designers who do contemporary designs as well. So like Africa Fashion Week Middle East said, it is our duty and our responsibility to educate the public, you know, on the meaning of African fashion. So it is not just African fashion for African designers, because a lot of people have that perception that when you talk about Africa Fashion Week London, or you talk about Africa Fashion Middle East, or African Fashion Week LA, they think it's an event for just Africans where you can come and buy African prints, or it's only targeted towards African people, but it's not that. So we really need to like engage people more. We need to pass out that message a bit more that, you know what, yes, it's called Africa Fashion Week. It's for African designers, it's for African inspired designers, and it's for African designers who also do contemporary fashion.
Thank you. I know I'll bring this also to Belki, because both for in Colombia and in Brazil, while there is a very strong African culture and celebration of African heritage in Colombia and in Brazil, there's also very strong European influence too. And so when you go to the fashion shows, while you will see African prints, a lot of what you might not see as many African prints. So Belki, tell us about how important it is in Africa Fashion Week Colombia in promoting the combination of the African and the European influence on your platform.
Okay, el señor Michael menciona que pues tanto en Brasil como en Colombia se dan estas presencias de una herencia africana y europea. Pues menciona que como tú en el Africa Fashion Week Colombia mezclas estas dos culturas, africana e europea. ¿Cómo haces para que funcione?
Bueno, nosotros hemos contado con la gran visión de que el Africa Fashion Week es un evento que integra a todos los grupos étnicos. Nunca se creó pensando solamente en que fuera exclusivo para las personas de piel oscura. Hemos observado las otras versiones y nos parecen fantásticas, pero nosotros decidimos que todos los grupos étnicos, albinos, personas de piel oscura, mestizas, indígenas, a todos se les diera la oportunidad de participar. Para nosotros, el alma no tiene color. The soul is not colors. Entonces, el Africa Fashion Week para nosotros es integración, conexión. Hemos tenido invitados de Botswana, de Nigeria, Brasil, y esperamos que el continente europeo se vincule. Tenemos una relación con la Unión Europea. Yo soy embajadora de buena voluntad para Colombia de la Unión Europea y siento que podríamos tener una alianza con ellos para que de Francia, de España, puedan venir, de los países de la Unión Europea que quieran participar, todos son bienvenidos. Es importante extender la invitación a todos los continentes.
Okay, so Ms. Belki says that the African Fashion Week Colombia is not only for the race, it's an ethnic group. So we can see albinos, mestizos, black people. And in this way, the idea is make connections and integrate all the ethnic groups. Also says that in the other African shows that we have will be the Nigerian people, Brazilian people, and that she is interested that the European Union could be possible to come here to be part of the African Fashion Week. So she says that she's an ambassador in the European Union, so it's important to make an alliance so that the European people can be part here of the African Fashion Week.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. And this is why platforms like Africa Fashion Week London, Africa Fashion Week Amsterdam, Poland, LA, it's very important to support the platforms in Brazil and in Colombia, because our platforms bring an element where the designers are reinventing what the image of African fashion is, where you can compete with the quality and essence of European fashion. So that's very, very important. Stacey, I want to come to you. You've heard so much today, Stacey. Before we go, I want you to just get your feedback on what you've heard, because you're about to start on your journey of developing the Africa Fashion Week Caribbean Trinidad. So tell us what the stuff that have moved you, what you've learned, any message for us that you'd like to convey as someone looking from outside and looking in?
Well, first of all, I want to co-sign on the fact that, you know, and I experienced it firsthand at Africa Fashion Week London. As I said before, I felt that, you know, when I looked at the grandeur of what I saw represented at Africa Fashion Week, I was uncertain as to whether my aesthetic would be African enough. And I was pleasantly surprised that people actually made mention of the fact that it was such a contemporary take. And we ended up selling pieces straight off of the runway. People felt there was an interesting mix of fabric. We would mix the hardcore Dutch wax with silks, and you know, it seemed to be irresistible to the customer base who came into Africa Fashion Week and felt it was a nice touch. So I do agree that a contemporary take and more versatility really also does still, you know, speak to your African aesthetic. As far as what I've learned today, I mean, it just feels amazing to be a part of this group. I feel that for some reason, since we've launched, Africa has been calling us. And we have answered. I am very happy to have answered. We do, in the Caribbean, we have a population of, within the entire Caribbean, of over 30 million people, with the majority of that being of African descent. In Trinidad and Tobago, approximately just over 1/3 of our population is of African descent, and we wear African attire with pride. There are women who I have never seen without the African garb. We celebrate emancipation on the 1st of August every year, which is the anniversary of the emancipation of African slaves in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is a huge event. It is there is an African market where people are selling African craft, and we also have a heavy population of Africans who have now made Trinidad their home. So we are used to being in that space. And as I mentioned before, our designers, almost every Trinidadian design that I love or that you can find, or when we have our runway events, our Africanness is so well represented within our aesthetic that I think this is a natural it's a natural merge. The platform has already been set for success in this area. And I do believe that we will receive good support from our government. I feel our corporate community will be poised to support us. We do have the concern of the post-COVID. We in Trinidad have been lauded, and I think throughout the Caribbean, as to our handling of the COVID. We have had, in Trinidad, we've had only 116 cases and 8 deaths, and we are currently, there's nobody in the hospital with COVID-19. So we have been able to manage it. We are still on lockdown, and it has changed our entertainment terrain, so to speak. Of course, everything is cancelled. We are just about coming out of lockdown, and to plan anything anything concrete with regards to when we'd be able to execute this. I would not be able to do that, but I know that the prospect is great. I also believe that when I listen to what the rest of everybody else is saying, and especially with regards to how the pandemic would have affected us, because the Caribbean has been touted as a safe zone with regards to how we've been able to manage and keep a handle on COVID, when the borders have reopened, I think, of course, our tourism would have suffered, and you would know that tourism is really, one of our biggest income earners in the Caribbean. While my country relies heavily on natural gas and oil, we too are now looking to diversification. So to create an event that will draw this kind of international attention and will bring, tourists coming into an industry that the government is also investing heavily on and starting to redefine as a serious income earner, and a contributor to the country's GDP. I think it's a really good move. I think the timing is right. I am very hopeful. I have used COVID to really get to learn, to get into that African Fashion Week space. I have attended your online platforms, which really fed my soul and opened my eyes up to the prospect. And it's really an exciting time, I believe. I agree with Diane that it's better to focus on the positives. We have enough negatives that we can focus on, but the positive thing for me is that for Trinidad to be the first country to launch the opening of Africa Fashion Week would be a fantastic thing, a fantastic event, a fantastic opportunity for our country. It is a space with which we are familiar. We have access to so much African fabric. It is part of our DNA. But also to begin the trek as we go island to island, to take this and to build and to come together as a group, just to promote our blackness. There is a phrase that I adopted from a Facebook friend. It says, our blackness is perfect. And it resonates such pride in us, to be able to execute our creativity, our natural born creativity. And we have so much talent in design and fashion in the Caribbean that the world should see. And our designers are resilient. They are more business focused. We have more upmarkets being hosted very often and seasonally that have now challenged Trinidadian practitioners to really up their game and marketing and their branding. So we are really poised to be a partner in something of this stature.
Thank you so much, Stacey. You used a very important word just now, Stacey, resilience. And I think for all of us, we understand that resilience is stronger. Resilience really is truly dependent on collaboration. So what all of us have learned, definitely bring to the table today is our commitment to collaborate and doing more to for platforms just by coming together. You also mentioned something, Stacey, about the changing the government's perception of value of the fashion industry. Do you know what I mean? And by us working as hard as we can, as we've been doing, and coming together and really showing that our values post-COVID can bring a lot to the economy also, because a lot of times it's not respected as much. I know in the continent, I know, in Colombia, I know in Brazil, the fashion industry has not really been garnered the sort of respect that it should in terms of the value that it brings to the economy. So all of us here working together to help to change that perception also is very important. Boosting tourism, education, continuing the movement, very, very important. Guys, we can talk forever. We could, but we're not going to talk forever. We're going to wrap this up today. We'll wrap this up today. And I just want to, before I hand it over to Princess Ronke, again, we want to encourage you all to continue with the incredible work that you're doing. I know on the Africa Fashion Week London platform, we remain focused on being as creative as we can during this era, this pandemic, and whereby we've had our webinar panel sessions that ran from April up into May, and you can find the recording of all of those sessions on our Facebook and YouTube platforms. We have our master classes coming up starting this Thursday. We're also running an online certified course with Parsons School of Design and Henley Business School. And we want to encourage all of you guys to support us in promoting these courses, because it helps all the designers around the world to get the sort of certification and reinforcement in their infrastructure, as Roberta had mentioned. Having the right qualifications there to be able to compete on a global scale is very important. So we'll ask for your support, and we want to support everything, any sort of webinars, any things that you have going on. Please email us, and what we'll do together is send this out in a group email to everybody, okay, to everyone. Princess Swanke, so I want to thank you all so very much, but now I'm going to hand it over to Princess Swanke to close us out with her last remarks.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you everyone for being a part of this amazing discussion webinar, you know, celebrating Africa Day. When I remember I said in the beginning that the main purpose of having this was, you know, to have like a united front for the fashion industry in Africa. So we're all speaking from one voice. At the moment, it's so fragmented. Everyone seems to be doing their own thing, and we're not being taken seriously. But when we all come together, we can tackle issues like manufacturing, you know, IP, intellectual property protection, education in fashion, business in fashion. We can have cultural exchange programs. So there's a lot we can do when we unite and when we come together. You know, fashion in developing countries has a way of flourishing. It can create jobs. It can create wealth as well. But we can only do this when we are solidified and we all come together and we speak with one voice. So thank you, everyone. Diane, thank you. Africa Fashion Week Middle East, Africa Fashion Week LA, our partners in Trinidad and Tobago, Diane, Africa Fashion Week Caribbean. Thank you to everyone, the Africa Fashion Foundation as well. Thank you, Colombia. Thank you as well. Brazil,
thank you, Poland,
Savannah,
thank you. Yes,
I look
there's
forward
so
to
many.
your
And guys, when the breakdown
very soon.
Yes, while this is the first one, we will be doing more of these Zoom meetups, and what we'll also do with that, for example, we'll talk about some of the issues in bringing Colombia and Brazil together to talk about how we can continue to support the work that you guys are doing there. So thank you all so very much. The work does not stop. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of Africa Day.
And Mr. Al-Fadi, thank you.
Mr. Al-Fadi, thank you so much.
But I finally got it.
Thank you so much.
Before we go, guys, really quick.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, but can you guys drop your
Mr.
real
Michael?
quickly? Could we drop your one? Go ahead, Julie. Julius, go ahead.
Okay, Ms. Belkis says that it's possible that she take a picture of all of you.
Yes.
Please do.
Put your best selfie face on, Diane. Yes. I know you're beautiful, madam, but we need a selfie. We need a selfie look there.
Ella, que pose ella, la chica de Los Ángeles, no.
Okay, okay, let me see. Yeah, so everybody make your beautiful face.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
So, and if you guys would like,
thank you, Michael. Thank you, Princess.
Before you go, how can we, real quick, how can we find your Instagram handles, Diane? Can you go Instagram handle?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Am I on? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh my God, my internet.
Diane, we can hear you.
Great.
Having some connections there. Steffi, can you drop those? You're part of the Africa Fashion Week. Can you drop those handles for us, please?
Yes. Where do I do? Let's check.
You can just go ahead and say it also, Steffi, and we'll also be able to, we'll put this up too.
Do I do it through, is it a chat?
No, just say it, just say it.
Okay, so it's AF.
Diane, are you guys there? Diane, can you hear us now?
We're here, but we're on an island, and it's
okay.
Raining.
So it's AFW Amsterdam, all in one.
AFW Amsterdam on all social media handles.
And then that's one, and then it's one moment. And then it's Africa FCW. That is all of it. France, Belgium, Equatorial Guinea, and Cameroon. So that's the whole everything, all the countries. So Africa AFCW.
Thank you. Thank you, Steffi. Thank you, Diane. And then could you drop your social media handle, please? Hold on, and then let's unmute you. Let's unmute. Tell us how we can find you on social media.
AFW Warsaw.
Thank you. Thank you. Belki, how can we find you on Instagram and all your social media?
¿Qué dice?
Que cómo te pueden encontrar en todas tus redes sociales y el African Fashion Week Colombia.
@Belki Arizala en Twitter, Facebook, Instagram y en TikTok @Belki Arizala Top.
Thank you.
Okay, y
el
el
Africa Fashion Week
okay.
Africa Fashion Week.
Okay, so in Instagram. Okay, so in Instagram is at African Fashion Week Colombia. And for Miss Belki, in all their social media, is Belki Arizala.
Yeah, thank you. And you guys can drop this in the chat also, please. Stacey? You're breaking up, Stacey. You're breaking up. Say it again, my dear, please.
On Instagram, we are at Diane Carlton Style. On Facebook, we are Diane Carlton Caribbean. My personal Instagram handle is Stacey Weeks Benjamin.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey. Silvana?
Dile que si es posible que escriban en el chat todas las cuentas.
Website is
My Instagram.
www.
Sorry, guys, this internet is playing up with us. Go ahead, Silvana, please.
@Silvana1212. Eu coloquei aqui
Silvana
na mensagem.
1212.
Da FEAFRO é @FEAFRO.
FEAFROS is @FEAFRO.
E dentro da FEAFRO a gente tem o African Fashion Week Brasil.
And inside FEAFRO we had African Fashion Week Brazil.
Thank you, Silvana. Oriente.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Oriente, do you want to drop your social media handles, please?
Yeah, so on Instagram, we're at AFWLA. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Africa Fashion Week LA.
Thank you so very much. And you guys all know Africa Fashion Week London on all social media platforms and on our website, africafashionweeklondonuk.com. Guys, thank you all so very much again for joining us today. We look forward to more conversation. You will be hearing from us regarding our Africa Fashion Week Global virtual presentation. And thank you all so much. Enjoy this beautiful day wherever you are. Thanks for taking the time out of your very busy day to enjoy this lockdown with us.
Woo!
Thank you all, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Happy day, Africa.
Yes, happy Africa Day.
Happy Africa Day.
The soul is not color.
That's right, the soul is no color. That's right, Belki.
Juliana, ¿cómo digo que todas las sombras son negras?
Okay, Miss Belki says that all the shadows are black.
All shadows are black. Indeed. Correcto.
Thank you.
Gracias. Adios, everyone. Bye.
Bye.